How much do users of Sierra Sil like me love this natural anti-inflammatory? Linda Alexander in Port Colborne, Ontario says she's used it for a number of years. She says you may think it's not working and stop taking it, but that's when you realize just how well Sierra Sil does work. Try it for yourself today and let us know too, won't you?
Visit the website Sierra, as in the mountains, Sil, as in silicon, 1L.com. And when you make your purchase, you'll get 10% off by using the code GF.
Welcome to episode 65 of Gracefully and Frankly. We are so glad to have you along for the ride or the jog or the walk. Or, as one listener said, she's listening before she goes to bed. She goes to bed early to listen to us. So thank you for that. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt. Yes, thanks for being along. We're going to talk about the animals. We're going to the alpacas, not the dogs this week. You've gone to the alpacas, Erin.
Yeah, it sounded like I'm spending a week with alpacas, and that's not some nickname for Al Pacino. Yes, and you had a very scary encounter with a masked bandit. We'll tell you about that and the outcome.
Cats apparently aren't jerks. We just don't understand them, and Erin's going to give us some translation of that.
And how a study of whales in menopause can have real... You're laughing about this. Lisa cannot get over that they're studying whales before women. I know. But it all ties in because it just reflects who we all are as mammals. And it just reminds you we are all part of this big family, right?
Right. I just picture myself standing on the edge of a cliff by water, waving my arms going, study me, and the scientists going, but there are whales over here.
And one thing about the whales in menopause, when they have their hot flashes, at least they're in cold water. We don't get that.
That's a very, very good point. Our thanks always as well to Envy Pillow for sponsoring this podcast right from the beginning and being such great supporters and friends to Gracefully and Frankly. Envy, E-N-V-Y, because all the other pillows are jealous.
Envious. Go on their website. Go to envypillow.com. Do their little questionnaire and see which pillow is right for you. And if you buy it, and it's not right for you, read about the guarantee. They'll take it back, they'll clean it, and provide a shelter with your beautifully lightly used Envy pillow, and you'll be made happy. It's all about integrity. Go to envypillow.com and use the code GF for 10% off. Well, Lisa, I've been away from home for a few days, but I have been thinking of you constantly because I have so many things to tell you.
Oh, good.
I'm staying, backtrack. I just wanted to run away from home last week. And I wanted to run away from home a few weeks ago too. So there's just stuff going on. It's not between Rob and me. We're fine. And I'll tell the story when it's ready to be told. I'm not ready to. So I was looking online and I'm looking at different places. I just wanted a quiet place, right? A cabin, not too murdery, just, sort of a place that's remote and tranquil and all of those things that we are always seeking that are kind of within us all along, right? So I see this listing near one of my favorite parts of British Columbia, Souk, for a sweet little cabin on an alpaca farm. Now, I guess we have to kind of explain what alpacas are, and we will. They're like a llama, but much gentler, much smaller, longer hair, very, very, very sweet. So I book into this place, and Lisa, I'd been looking at so many listings, I didn't look that carefully. I sign up for an entire week here. I walk in the front door, and I go, oh my God, because it's beautiful. It's this lovely little cabin. To your right is a barn door, sort of a sliding door to a beautiful little modern bathroom, toilet, sink, walk-in shower. Well, what other kind of shower is there? Crawl in. And then right from the front door, you see the queen size bed. And so I walk into the bedroom with my suitcases and my bags of groceries, and there's no kitchen.
What? How can there be no kitchen?
There's no kitchen. There's no microwave. I know. There's no microwave. There's, God bless her, a Keurig. And I brought my own Nespresso along with my envy pillow, of course, and my weighted blanket. Even with the mini with the top down, I do not travel light. And what it is when you're coming up the walkway to get to this place, if you look to your left, there is a covered deck that has a barbecue and a sink and a fridge. So the cooking is outdoors. The plumbing is indoors, thank goodness. But yeah, I've been wilderness woman. I've been Laura Ingalls Wildering this thing and going outside and making my Caesar salad and grilling something every night.
Oh my goodness. That would be a deal breaker for me. It's too much work. But you're managing okay?
I am. I wanted something a little more rustic. And so it is in its way. And I'm really enjoying it. It's very quiet and it was sunny up until today when it's rainy and cool. And I don't know if I'm going to make it till Sunday, even though Rob is coming up for a conjugal visit tomorrow night and Saturday night. So we'll see. But he said, should I still come up? And I said, well, would you come to visit me in a hotel room? And he said, well, of course I would. And I said, okay, it's like that.
Yeah, I guess it is, just with no restaurant.
Exactly. And definitely not room service. So if it sounds different today, you'll understand why. Anyhow, alpacas. You've got alpaca experience as well. They're the most delightful animals, aren't they?
They're wonderful. There's an alpaca farm. There are a few not that far from us. There's one in, I think it's Kerwood, Ontario, that my sister-in-law Barb and I went to, and you can walk the alpacas. So we went and met with them and fed them and walked them. And some of them have learned to walk like on leads, and you go up and down this road. It's kind of neat. They also have a cabin, but it's like a bunkie. And so there isn't really a washroom and all that kind of thing that goes with it. But it's called Sammy's Alpaca Farm, if anybody's interested. But I bought Derek a pair of alpaca socks when I was there, and they were so expensive. I don't think he's ever worn them.
Oh,
but the alpaca fur, or whatever it's called, is really, really soft, and it's really wonderful. But I love alpacas. They're just delightful.
They are. And as soon as I go outside, they all come over because one of the things that the host here does is she gives you a basket full of vegetables for them.
Yep.
And before I could get to the vegetables my first day here, the little buggers had already gotten to them. So I gave them some scraps off my Caesar salad. I've been cutting off the ends of romaine and stuff, but this woman could go broke just buying vegetables for the alpacas.
No kidding.
Jeez.
Do they have a llama there too? Or llama?
No.
Because at Sammy's, they have, I think, 2 llamas, because if there's a predator of any kind, like a fox or something comes along, the llamas will fight. The alpacas won't.
Yeah.
So the alpacas will go into a group and the llamas will protect them, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a lot of their personality is they are much more solitary. They will protect a herd of other animals. They're quite something, and they're larger and they're not quite as friendly.
Yeah.
So I've just got the sweetest ones here, and I have been shooting some videos, so I'll be sharing that as well. And I promise to share it too to the Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page. So with the alpaca farm and just being up here and kind of surrounded by nature, and of course, everything's in full bloom, the trees and everything as we celebrate spring.
Oh, stop. It's not happening here yet. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
We have both had our brushes with nature of late. I mean, you had a feral animal in your backyard and you wrote about it in your blog, voiceoflisabrandt.com, but I purposely didn't read it because I wanted to hear it in your words. So tell us what happened, wilderness woman.
Well, I had been moving some stuff outside to transplant a tall cactus that I'd been given. It's over 3 feet tall. And I thought, I'll make myself some lunch first. So I was whisking in the kitchen, and all of a sudden I heard this low guttural noise, and it was Cuddles, my senior cat, whose sweetness and light, I'd never heard him make a noise like that before. So it drew my attention to the patio door where he was sniffing through the screen. We call it reading the news. And there was a raccoon on its hind legs looking in at Cuddles.
Ooh.
And Cuddles was not happy at all about this. He was sort of standing his ground, but not too close, but making this low guttural sound. And it ended up that the raccoon wasn't right. I knew there was something wrong with it. He started walking in circles. I tried throwing cold water on him, and he went, yeah, bring it on. I tried banging a pot with a wooden spoon, and he was like, I can sing to that. And I actually opened up my phone's YouTube app and got some Iron Maiden going, turned it up as loud as I could, and the raccoon just grooved along.
Wow.
He had no interest in leaving. Now, a normal raccoon would be gone,
I
right?
don't know because the only raccoons I know are Toronto raccoons, and they're all attitude.
Right. They've literally got a garbage diet. They're not quite normal. But this guy was doing circles in my backyard and he just looked wrong. And at a certain point, he just sort of flopped over on his side. And I thought, something's up here.
Hmm.
In our area, the Ministry of Natural Resources tells us to call this local rescue group called Forever Rehabilitation. So I called the woman, Colleen, who's just awesome. Long story short, we got it into it put itself in the cage. We didn't have to do anything.
What?
Yeah,
How?
she put cat food in, and I was just about to get a broom and give its butt a little shove because it was almost in, but not quite. And it scooted all the way in and the door closed, and that was that.
Wow.
He is no longer with us. He has distemper.
Mm.
And she's picked up dozens and dozens so far this year of raccoons and skunks only in the little town of Port Stanley because it didn't get cold enough to get rid of the distemper virus.
Oh,
So it's just spreading like crazy.
isn't that interesting?
So there will be lots of them all over the place, wherever. If you see a raccoon that doesn't run from you and maybe has like crusty eyes or is a little thin, it's likely very sick. So call somebody to pick it up. You don't want to go near it yourself.
Wow, what an experience. So is Cuddles changed at all from the whole ordeal?
Okay, it could be my imagination, but I don't think it is.
Uh-huh.
He has been all over me. He's just been so affectionate. He crawls onto my lap without prompting. And this isn't his usual behavior. A lot of head bumping. He bumps my forehead with his forehead. I think he's thanking me for saving the family from the invader.
You are his hero. Look what Mom did.
I think so. But some people were concerned that maybe he got too close to the raccoon, maybe got fleas or got sick. Number one, raccoons tend to pick up canine distemper, which you can't transmit to a cat. And the other thing was they never really got close. They didn't get nose to nose or anything like that. As soon as the raccoon came up, Cuddles started backing up and they were never that close. So
Good.
I'm not concerned about that at all. But I wouldn't want an outdoor cat to meet a sick raccoon like this.
Of course, they have outdoor cats here at the alpaca farm, and I've become acquainted with one that looks very sphinxy. He's just beautiful, but it's just another reason to try and keep your cat indoors.
Yeah, I understand if they were born in a barn, literally,
Right.
and that's their life and that's where they stay and somehow they make it work. But cats have been domesticated for thousands of years and house cats are house cats. And Cuddles, for example, he was declawed long before we got him and
Hmm.
it would just be cruel to put him outside.
Well, I have some insight into Cuddles' psychology and behavior, and cats in general from the Washington Post. Going to share that with you in a moment. So cats, I think you'll agree, Lisa, and I have had cats. I love cats. We're with dogs now, but I am not anti-feline by any stretch of the imagination, but they have a bit of a reputation of being, well, jerks, right?
Yes, they do.
And people think that they're going out of their way to make your day miserable. Sometimes, knocking stuff off or tearing up the couch or destroying a roll of toilet paper, that kind of thing. But they've looked into the psychology behind cats, and there are so many misconceptions that cats are spiteful or being jerks, that they're being aloof or asocial, according to this cat behaviorist. But cats are trying to communicate with us all the time, and you just have to be really good at understanding that. If there's a communication barrier, we can't get along.
Right. And anyone who thinks that a cat is being vindictive or something like that is making the cat a human, and a cat's a cat. Yeah. So demystify the kitty for us, will you?
Well, females will adhere more closely to one another. Their matriarchal social bonds carry through. Their males, once they're about a year old, are more likely to move around wherever they want. So if you have a female cat, you'll find that females will like to be together wherever they can. And in many cases, according to these researchers, cats actually prefer social interaction. Of course, nobody, and that includes humans, wants to be around others all the time. And sometimes if cats don't get along, it's not exactly dominance, but it's a way for the grouchier cat to point out they've got a problem with their environment. It's not really dominance. It's just cats don't form hierarchies like we think that they do. But if they think that somebody is encroaching on their space, they want their own food, water, and bathroom, and that can remain incredibly important to them. So it's more territorial than dominant. Do you find that?
Oh, yeah. And we have 2 bathrooms for Cuddles because he's an older guy, and he let me know that he wanted one upstairs too. You can imagine how. But he really only seems to use one of them, and the other one is just this big, clean, fancy collection of litter. But yeah, he does like his own space. He doesn't like being encroached on. And if he's on the couch down here outside my booth, for example, and I lean over to give him a kiss on the forehead or something, there's an amount of time he will put up with it and an amount that he won't. And I think it's something like 3.25 seconds. And then he's out of there. Like he's just had enough, you know?
And you know what? Often when a cat is doing something like knocking pens off your desk or lying on your papers, don't cats love to lie on paper?
Yes.
They're just looking for your attention. That's all they want. They want you to pay attention to them. Did you know you can teach cats tricks?
No. Well, I know I saw a video of a woman who taught a cat to use the toilet, but other than that, I didn't know there were many tricks you could teach them.
Yeah, my sister taught her cat to use a toilet as well. I have no idea how she did that.
Oh,
Probably
wow.
Heather had to use the litter box instead. It was a trade-off. Who knows? So there you go. More info on cats because, you know, we talk about dogs a fair bit because of R2 and all their puppies and all that kind of thing.
Right. You don't have to be one or the other, right? I love dogs too, but happen to have a cat. So you've heard that old line that if men went through menopause, it would all be figured out by now. Like,
Oh, yeah. Would have been figured out 10 minutes later.
right. I mean, there's a little blue pill, but we still can't stop a woman from having hot flashes, like not all women anyway. So these researchers have been studying menopause by looking at whales. Oh, yeah, sure. Don't look at women. Look at whales. We love that. Anyway. These researchers have found out a lot of things about these whales that go through menopause, just certain species of whales, and it translates to women. They think it might translate to women. So did you know, Erin Davis, that most mammals are fertile throughout their whole life except for humans, chimpanzees, and 5 species of whales? They're the only ones that go through menopause.
Wow. I wonder why that is.
I didn't know that.
No, I sure
Yeah.
didn't know that.
One of the things that they're finding with these whales, aka women, is that the menopausal whales outlive the non-menopausal whales by as much as 40 years. So almost double their lives because they go through menopause.
Wow.
And one of the other things they think, and I used to say this when my butt area got a little bit wider as I got older, is that, oh yeah, you know, nature wants to fat me up, so I'll stay in the cave and watch the grandchildren or whatever.
Right.
That was my very small ha-ha. But apparently there's some truth to that. The process of going through menopause stops a woman's fertility so that she's not bothered and distracted by all of that, and she can watch the grandchildren while the younger ones go out and hunt. It's an evolutionary thing.
That makes total sense.
It does, doesn't it? And they've observed this in chimps. Like, how many people do you know, including yourself, who look after, spend time with grandchildren? Not always so that the parents can go and do something else, but sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just found it kind of fascinating. And of course, I always find it fascinating when scientists go to ants or rats or this time whales to find out what's going on with women.
Well, you're so right about the instinct and the wanting to be with grandchildren. And it's supposed to be that the older generation is able to pass on its wisdoms and cautionary tales, and to help, in any way that they can to make sure that the offspring are raised healthily and to adulthood, no matter what the species, right? That's kind of what we're supposed to be here for.
Exactly. And so you've got the parents who are significantly whatever much younger going out and doing the hunting and gathering, hopefully throwing us old gals a scrap once in a while.
Yeah.
And somebody's got to look after the children. So they're putting themselves in peril. We're looking after being nurturers and that kind of thing. Anyway, apparently this translates for the chimpanzees and the whales too, because they also live in what researchers call complex social structures with different generations and traveling together and doing all those things. And I just can't get enough of this kind of stuff, especially when it's about something as complex, misunderstood. There's just so many aspects to menopause. You dealt with hot flashes one way. I was unable to do it that way because of my health history. I deal with them another way. Somebody else is suffering through them because they can't do it. And that's just hot flashes. That's only one symptom.
Or can't afford it. Hormone treatment, hormone replacement is so expensive. And again, how many healthcare plans cover the little blue pill? But when it comes to hormones and hot flashes, sorry, ladies, you're on your own. It's not fair.
It's just really unfair. Women don't get studied as much. It's just the absolute truth. It's nice to know we have whale sisters who are helping us learn a little bit more about why we go through this.
Went to a small dinner at some friends on Saturday night, and it was so good to get together. And I think, 4 years into COVID, and I won't say past COVID because my sister has just had it this past week. We're all still getting it. But, we so appreciate the get-togethers, the socializing, the sitting at a table and enjoying laughs and a wonderful meal. And I met some mutual friends of our host, Sherry and Stephen, and Sherry listens, and it was so interesting to hear her husband commenting on Gracefully and Frankly as well, because you and I kind of talk to each other and about women and things like menopause, and we do mention that we're not male bashing or anything like that.
Never.
But it's so cool to know that men are listening too, and I don't know if there's anything equivalent in a man's conversation like what I did putting my foot in it the other night, but if there is, we'd love to hear it. So we're sitting there in a nicely dimly lit dining room, having this beautiful salmon that Nancy made and enjoying laughs and conversation. And I looked at Nancy, and I'd been looking at her all through dinner, and I said, "Are you going gray? Are you one of the queens who is turning gray and silver?" Because I'm thinking of you, Lisa, right? You decided to do away with the dye bottle during COVID, and you look fantastic. And she, honest to God, this is one of those things. It's like, don't ask a woman if she's pregnant unless you see the baby coming directly out of her body. Yep. Don't ask a woman if she's going gray on purpose. And Nancy and I love each other dearly. And right away, I knew that I had I'd put my foot in it, because she said, well, no. Does it look gray? Does it? No, I've been telling my stylist that I need more blonde in it, but you've just kind of confirmed that. And I went, oh no, it must be the lighting, because I really did think that she was easing into silver, and I had been inconsiderate in not noticing what my friend was doing.
But knowing Nancy, I'm sure she took it with a great spirit, but I could just, even as you're saying it, I feel embarrassed for you.
Jeez. I know. And it's, you're just trying to observe that someone is doing something. And friends do that. I know you're not allowed to say anything about anybody's appearance or anything like that. I know that. We are becoming aware of that, unless it's you and me and people who know where each other's safe zones are. But oh my goodness, I was so embarrassed. And I know I'll get invited back because, Nancy is a dear friend. Yes. Then I switched to, how wonderful the guys all look with all their silver and gray hair, right? They never have these conversations.
No, but you know what the guys tend to do is they razz each other instead. Derek's hair is still very dark, but he's got a gray sort of little beard, little Van Dyke. The guys will go, hey, you're losing your youthful looks from your lower lip to your chin or whatever the heck it is, like they razz each other, and we aren't like that.
Oh, God, can you imagine?
No. And, that's a very good point for men to remember, too, is that remember your audience. My brother-in-law said something to me about a shirt, and I never wore it again.
Yeah.
The whole world might have been thinking it, but he had the stones to say it, and that was it. I was done. We don't take that well,
No, that's when people say things that you would normally read on Twitter.
Yeah.
I remember one time, and I'm going way off the beaten path here, had a picture taken with Keith Urban. And it was one of my favorite moments in my radio career because he smelled so good. He was so lovely. And some friend of Darren, the host at the time, said, why is your partner dressed like a nurse? And I just thought, you know what? I went out and bought this top because Darren told me to stop wearing so much black because I was in mourning, because I was sad. So I bought this peach, it had a little bit of a pattern on it. It was from the Bay and undoubtedly on sale because that's how I shop. But he made this crack. And it's just like, yeah, that might be fun at your dinner parties. Mm-hmm. But, why do I hold on to it, Lisa? Why do I think of that now when I think of my steamy affair interview with Keith Urban?
Yeah, well, that you're bringing up a wonderful moment. I met Keith Urban, but I know exactly what you mean because those things, they sting. They stay with us. I remember a shirt that I wore at a radio function and a guy telling me that I looked like Ricky from the Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, boy.
But I did.
Now, maybe he thought that was a compliment because if I know you, that was a camp day or something where you were supposed to look like you were outside around a campfire, right?
Well, I had the houndstooth pattern on that Ricky wore all the time. So, yeah, That was a designer blouse. It went to Goodwill or somebody right away. I had a good laugh over that, I had to say. It did look like we might be separated at birth, me and Ricky, but what are you going to do, right?
Could have been Bubbles.
Yes. Oh, if somebody said I'd look like Bubbles because of my glasses or something, that would not be funny years later.
See, Bubbles. Bubbles the chimp. Chimps, whales, raccoons, alpacas, cats. See how it all ties together here, Lisa?
Yeah, very loosely, Erin.
As always. Well, it's been a pleasure. And again, if things sound a little awry, it's because I'm in a little cabin. But I got to tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
This woman could not be a more gracious host. I come in and there's a basket full of all kinds of goodies, which of course I've tucked away for Rob and the grandkids. And I saw online that she had a bottle of wine for people when they come in. So I wrote to her and I said, I don't want to be presumptuous and assume that you're going to provide wine when I get here. But if you do, could you not? I'm almost 5 years in AA and I really don't need the temptation because, I am up here because of stuff going on, and a bottle of wine in your room is not really a great thing when you're stuck here in the rain and that sort of thing.
Right.
So she said, sure, no problem, and replaced it with a bottle of Carl Jung de-alcoholized champagne, which it's just the sweetest thing. And it proves that even in a little cabin on an alpaca farm, anybody can be the most gracious and wonderful host. And tell me what you do in this situation, Lisa.
Okay.
I'm thinking of checking out early, like maybe going home tomorrow, and not just because Rob's coming up for a visit, but because I don't know. I've got to get home. I feel like I've got stuff to do at home before we go away for a trip for his birthday, but I don't want to hurt her feelings. What should I do? Stuff pillows in the bed so she thinks I'm still here? Or what do I do?
No, to me, it's a completely transparent thing. It's a paid transaction. You guys are not friends.
No.
You're not going to start hanging out together. I think you just do whatever you want to do. And she's happy she got the money.
True.
Don't worry about it. It's nice of you to be concerned.
Well, that's just me, right? That's why you and I get along, because we have feelings on a level that's just way too high most of the time, worrying about other people, right?
Yeah, but that's okay. I'd rather be that way than somebody who walks through life not caring, right?
And walking over other people. Yeah, plenty of those.
It's also why we'll never be billionaires, but hey, you can't have it all.
Oh, but I did have a dream the other night, and Lisa, it was as clear as day. I was saying in my dream, I'm saying the words I've always wanted to say. And I had this big smile on my face. And I said, I just won the lottery. And I did. I won the lottery and it was $2 million.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, that would take care of some problems. Not all of them. Money doesn't do that. But $2 million. And of course, I looked up. Now, Patty Allen is listening. She is a dream analyst, and I didn't reach out to her about it. I just thought, well, okay, I'm going to take that as a harbinger of good news. And then yesterday, I did the scratchers that Rob got me for Christmas, and I won $20. So I thought, nice try, Rob. Thanks a lot. You're such a disappointment.
Okay, I keep dreaming that my purse gets stolen. I want your dreams.
Do you really?
Yeah. It's got to do with control, feeling out of control or something. I'm not sure.
Well, if it's like the car thefts in Toronto, I think you just give them the purse, Lisa. Jeez, I still can't get over that.
Oh, absolutely. Give them the purse and all my pins written inside. Yeah.
There you go. You're so smart, Edna.
On that note, you have a wonderful rest of a time.